Hello, Exiles. It is Monday, and we are 2 Voidstones in. I wanted this to be done a day ago, but as some people probably already know, I basically missed the entire Saturday of League start because Grandma turned 90, and she lives a state away. So, you know, my day was spent in the car, and it was very enjoyable, wonderful to see the family, but not the best time for it to happen, right? So, this build, I gotta say, kind of hobbled over the finish line a little bit because I underestimated exactly what the nerf to detonate dead of training would feel like on a low gear situation. That is to say, specifically, gem level of Unearth. Currently, it's at 22. At level 22, you have 0 complaints. But I was very specifically at the time insisting upon myself not to go buy stuff. I was like, just use what you find and get there on your own. That made it a little rough. I think I ended up with like a level 19 Unearth in those fights, and it did fine, right? Eater was scary for a moment, and then I realized I'm the type of idiot who completely forgets to do his entire Arcanist brand setup, so I didn't have Desecrate adding corpses, and I just straight up didn't have Flammability in my trigger weapon, and my trigger weapon was much worse at the time. Immediately after I finished my 2 Voidstones, I went on a shopping spree, and I upgraded pretty much all of my gear. I was sitting at negative 52% Chaos Res for a while, which was just incredible amounts of fun in T16 maps. But yeah, so first thing I did, and this is something I recommend to people who are in trade, is look for a physical spell gems % fire damage weapon. These two combinations like generally don't go together. You have to be playing like Unearth, Detonate Dead for this to be valuable. So while it's not a common item, there's very low demand, which generally means they end up being cheap. I think I got this for like 10C. And it would be much harder to make this normally. I would have preferred a Scepter, obviously, because the implicit doesn't do much for me. But this is great for now, you know, open suffix, so I can craft my trigger. And we, of course, have Bone Offering and Flammability and just Wave of Conviction for now, because that's the best we can do. I did learn a few things, and by learn, I think I almost retread old ground. I feel like I learned this lesson the hard way every single league, and I forget to put it in the build guide, which makes me feel terrible. But Annoying Battle Rouse early. That extra 10% of damage taken recouped as mana makes things feel so good. It's like actually absurd how good it feels. Currently, the first time I actually got money, I went ahead and I checked for the Watcher's Eye and it was available, so I snagged that. And now mana is not much of an issue when it comes to using the skill. I believe I can spin up fully with the flask and it holds. I have made a few, believe it or not, little innovations. I actually completely spec'd out of the mana here, and this is all going to get respec later, obviously, when I have a proper Oscillating Scepter, but I moved the points here, as well as the 10% reduced mana mastery to get the mana flask nodes here. And the reason I did that, not just because, you know, 45% increased flask charges gained is, like, awesome, but it's a lot of mana boost to the flask, and then on top of that, I grabbed gain 2 charges when you are hit by an enemy, like as the prefix mod. So the boost to the mana recovery from those nodes is offsetting the loss of the increased recovery rate prefix and gives us this. And the reason I did this is because when I was fighting Exarch, just kind of as an offhand thing, I threw on a second mana flask with this mod, and it was incredible. Like, that flask never moved. It just always had charges to go, and I was like, oh, this is actually mana fixing for the build in prolonged fights, like, period. Because we can get hit, always. No matter what we're fighting, we can take hits. And it only takes 4 procs to give us another mana flask use. Additionally, the flask actually lasts longer, so it's actually kind of a duration buff as well. Outside of that, I'm still running the Nexus gloves right now. I should actually Blessed Orb these up. My amulet's hot garbage. My shield leaves a ton to be desired. There's no spell block on it. There's no reduced crit. In fact, I basically did the entire thing without reduced crit, and I got through it just fine. The build was still incredibly tanky. There were some spooky ass maps I ran to get through it all. Like these boots used to be an evasion energy shield base that I used a prefix slot to craft armor on. This body armor is like the one relatively decent piece of equipment I think I picked up the entire time while leveling, and I still wouldn't call it very good. It was just like, yeah, okay. It was kind of nice, right? It gave me a pretty decent armor buffer, which was, I mean, that's very useful, admittedly. And of course, Kitava's Thirst. These rings were purchased afterward. They used to be worse as well. It's just, everything I have right now that I'm showing you was worse at the time of doing the 2 Watchstones, and it was fine. It was actually surprisingly better than fine. At first, it wasn't, because again, I was forgetting my Arcanist brand and Flammability. You put those 2 things in, and it's almost like your DPS doubles in single target. But I really, really wanted to make this just to A, if you're playing the build, anoint Battle Rouse if things feel really bad on the mana. This kind of gives you that comfort you need. Additionally, if you can craft damage taken recouped as mana on your rings, which is also very, very good. Consider this little mana flask thing here. You can even get charges gain every second as a mastery if you want. But this opens up a lot of smoothness when it comes to the bosses we do fight. And this build typically doesn't die to bosses, right? I died to the bosses because I am very bad at dodging Exarch meatballs, and then I stood in some stuff that I shouldn't against Eater. I'm not making it sound very tanky. No, I fell asleep at the wheel in the middle of Eater, and he did his big explosion, and I just like, oh yeah, I should probably turn on Molten Shell if I'm gonna stand there. Anyway, that was before I had my actual all-res nodes as well, so the build's significantly more tanky than when I did it, but yeah, those are the big things. Battle Rouse, very good. This plus like gain 2 charges when hit by an enemy on a mana flask is actually enough, surprisingly. Like it not only covers your mana requirements, but it's more comfortable, and you'll always have charges in a fight or in a boss fight. You'll just never run out at that point, which is awesome. I mean, honestly, crazy awesome. And then this is going to feel good in maps too, because our actual Quicksilver is always going to be up now, probably. As for the actual build, strangely, reduced extra damage from critical strikes didn't seem as important this league around. I'm not sure exactly why that is. Maybe it's because things like Wildwood Wisps kind of skewed that as being a more valuable stat before. It's still very good, and like, I'm getting it now, right? I have it on my Watcher's Eye, which I think that's the most recent piece of equipment I've upgraded. But it kind of took a back seat to both block chance and all-res. All-res seemed to be much more important this time around. Obviously, get your recoup, or none of this really matters because you have no sustain, right? You reduce the damage, but the damage still builds up and kills you in like 3 seconds because that's Path of Exile for you. And then before running off, I don't want to say all of this for no reason, so we'll go through a quick little, very, very mod-heavy peninsula map. Just to kind of show how the build's doing. If your build doesn't seem to do enough damage, like, to be comfortable, odds are that all is coming down to unearth level scaling. Kind of sucks, because, like, I want to say the initial unearth nerf, which wasn't actually a nerf overall. The initial unearth nerf, I should put it this way, mostly came down to they changed the way it worked so that a level 20 unearth was like corpse level 80, and then you'd only get 1 level for every level over 20 to the corpse level. For every level over 20 on Earth, you used to get 1 corpse level, right? And you would need like 6 to get to whatever for 86 corpses. They changed it so that it capped out at 70, and then you'd get 2 levels for every level. So that post 20 investment is much more important now, and you feel it immediately. Like, going from 70 to 74 has been ridiculously massive. Getting onto my 6-link setup, this build is probably going to go right back to not even feeling nerfed. But until then, it's definitely not as strong as it used to be, which is a shame, right? I don't love saying that or having to say that to people who are playing the build right now, but it kind of caught me off guard. I won't lie. It's not all bad. If you have like your basics and stuff, it's still plenty strong. It's just not, you know, completely busted like it used to be. And it demands a little bit more in the way of player knowledge to like actually get through the fights. I'd say if you don't know how to do them, you're probably not going to enjoy it quite as much. Luckily, you're still very durable, and you have lots of forgiveness. It's only the real, like, deliberate one-shot mechanics that actually threaten the build, more or less. Even things like degens, right? Degens are very frustrating on this build at times because they deplete your mana, but because they're affecting your mana, they never kill you quickly. They give you time to learn and adapt to it. As for Atlas strategy, I've been doing kind of a mix of, well, I rushed strong boxes, right? Because I was just like, let's do something comfortable while I'm leveling, something that won't make things more difficult and let me rush the Watchstone or Voidstones, which was fine. It wasn't like exemplary, insane, crazy awesomeness, but it was fine. Maybe I could have done better. But quickly after that, as I was like getting a feel for what the economy was going to demand, I realized crafting is going to be huge this league, both because of memory strand items and just in general Mercenaries pooped out mediocre items that were very usable, right? And when that happens, mid-tier crafting goes down, and things that kind of push you to the next level are going to go way up in value by comparison. So Harvest is very good, which is what I'm investing into right now. I've got a little bit of Abyss, both because I like it and also because it's good XP. And then I'm kind of doing Expedition, because another way to get beyond kind of the tier of mercenary equipment is ROG, right? ROG will poop out an item that'll just have like 6 T1 modifiers, and even if they're not the most ideal, for someone that's going to be like amazing, right? Now mercenaries are kind of another story. These guys are nightmare machines. If you haven't experienced this yourself, that's kind of a nice ring. If you haven't experienced these yourself, you got to be careful, especially probably this guy. I would not be surprised if I get absolutely bodied right here, because some of them are aggressively overtuned. People are yeah, like that. I don't even know what killed me, right? Something was forming. I probably needed to be moving around. I don't really like put much stock into what happens when I fight them right now, because they're comically not correct numbers wise. People have been like doing tier 16 maps and then going back to Ossuary to get your free Sanctum book and getting killed by the Merc in that zone. That probably shouldn't be possible. Just in general, right? That should not be something that can happen to people, and yet it is. Because some of these skills, and my theory is like, there's supposed to be like a PvP scaling metric enabled, and some of these skills they have are like unique to them. Like they're not even droppable as Trarthan gems, but they still have them as unique gems. And I get the feeling those ones maybe aren't scaled for it, so they're like hitting us for like uber boss slam level of damage. Because, I mean, that's crazy that I went from 0 to dead instantly. I can probably tank most everything that either Exarch can throw at me, at least one hit of it. Maybe with the exception of the big Exarch explosion, right? At least with Molten Shell Up. I had Val Molten Shell Up when she did that to me just now. Like that was not just nothing. Like that's a lot of damage they had to do in one hit for that to happen. Ooh. This guy, I have a super juiced Soul Eater mob on me right now, and I'm just standing in it, and it's not great, but it's fine. I can talk while doing it, and I'm not in much danger. I don't understand even remotely how the mercenaries do that much damage. If that's actually how it's supposed to be, I'm frightened for the next generation of Path of Exile players, because what are they going to learn from that? My goodness. Yeah, I'm not even turning on my shield right now. I'm just kind of standing on the bosses, and it's fine. Those mercs are no joke. Anyway, that's all. Just want to do a quick build guide update for the people who are running it, because this one was surprisingly challenging for me. Admittedly, I think maybe I don't usually rush it as quickly as I did this time, so maybe I'm just experiencing something that I should have a long time ago. But again, the build made it easy the whole way. All of my complaints were pretty superficial. I'm just working on Atlas completion right now, then I'm going to start doing the new memory strand stuff. All of that will be done while live streaming. You can see everything I just talked about on the channel. I live streamed it all the VODs are still up, so they should be visible. The VODs for yesterday, that being the 15th of June, will have somewhere in them me fighting the pinnacle bosses if you wanted to like see how that went. It was pretty comical at points because, again, I forgot some stuff that made it look almost really bad, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm missing a curse because I took it out of the socket and everything. I don't know, it was weird. But yeah, I'm having a good time. I'm excited both to play this more and to play new builds. It's kind of got me a little flummoxed, because like I really want to move on to the next build, but also I've seen some new stuff from the content that would be really good in this build, and I'm like, I kind of want to get that and see how it does, because I think for less investment than before, this build can go a little farther than it used to, and now I got to see what that new top end looks like. So I might actually be playing Kitava's Thirst for more than just a week. This might be a 2-week build with a lot of heavy play to kind of get through everything. Anyway, live streams later today. Have a good one, Exiles.